I was just going to say, yesterday at the debate for the Democratic nomination in New York State against Governor Cuomo and Cynthia Nixon, there was a debate as to what the temperature was going to be in the room. He likes it apparently Arctic cold, and she requested it at 76 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 25 degrees Celsius. And her people sort of dropped the gauntlet on social media, saying that his choice to keep it cold is sexist. Now, I have a problem with this. I do not...
Which, the temperature or the sexist?
The sexist. I do not challenge that men and women like temperatures, room temperatures at a different level.
You and I experience this every day in the studio.
We agree on that. But the choice to use that language, to me, is what politically probably makes a lot of sense. But the fact is, she could have said men and women like different temperatures. She didn't say that. She said this is a sexist decision. And what that does is it places her in an empowered victim position, forcing him to defend himself against claims of sexism. And I think when you do that, you really diminish real issues of sexism that are out there.
Well, let's go back and explain to people why perhaps we're getting the points that people are saying it's a sexist decision. There's some research that would suggest that in a time when men dominated the workplace, that their metabolic rate functions better at a cooler temperature in comparison to women. And science actually backs this up, that women, their metabolism functions better at a higher temperature. So when men dominated the workplace, it made sense that temperature be set by men at a comfortable rate for them. That's where this argument is coming from. I think that we all know, as you said, men and women like different temperatures. You can always put on an extra layer. You can't get rid of sweat easily, and you can't get rid of stink easily if it's too warm for you. So for me, I'm always fine throwing on a sweater if I have to, and I don't feel like I'm being discriminated against.
Here's where the sexist argument comes from, is the fact that we talk about dominant default, right? So I think her camp is saying if the dominant default is to default to what men are comfortable as opposed to what the woman is comfortable, nods in the studio, because even in the studio, we have this debate all the time. You have more clothes on than, you know, I do at the moment. I have bare legs on at the moment. So you are always warmer than I am in the studio. But we had this debate this morning about whose comfort level is the standard.
But what we're also talking about, you say dominant default, and I would say sexist default, the ability to default to a sexist argument each and every time. That rather than simply make the case calling it what I think it is, which is men like it this way, women like it that way.
But
that's the debate.
Whose temperature won at the end of the day?
All things being equal, as I think Kelsey said, I think, honestly, for me, first thing in the morning, when that vent is pumping hot air on me, I want to take a nap. Not a good look on television.
And when I have goosebumps and I've got my teeth chattering and wiping my nose from dripping because I'm cold.
I never ask for a specific temperature. I just ask for it to be cooler.
If I may jump in, I think that there is the idea that there is intentional sexism, where we know someone is being nasty because they can be, because of your gender. There is also unconscious sexism, and sexism that has existed for a number of years because men have been more dominated or dominant in history than women. And so we have to take a second to ask ourselves the question. I just want to bring up another point from this whole argument. Cynthia Nixon's team said that they felt she would suffer and her performance would suffer because of the temperature of the room, because she'd be cold. And I would say to that, I want a politician who can stand up to something greater than temperature, who's not going to be fazed by the temperature, who can also say, to stand up for sexism, to stand up for her rights, but say, this won't faze me, so I can battle through regardless.
I feel like, though, if people are making a choice, like, who are we going... If the two requests have been made, which request do you honor?
The governors. The governors, whoever the governor is, male, female, the governor.
They're both campaigning.
The boss.
So
you're campaigning for that job. That's the person in the job.
They're both in
candidates.
the job, but not of the future job, right? So it's not the future governor.
That person still has the job.
But here in Canada, if someone's campaigning, they no longer technically have that title, right?
Just say they're both candidates.
For Premier, we wouldn't have said, you know, Premier Kathleen Wynne. We would have said Kathleen Wynne.
It's not an election. It's not even an election. This is for the nomination. Still the leader of that party.
Well, when they're operating in a system or in a position where it's a debate and they're both candidates, one isn't the governor, one is the opposer, they're both candidates. Anyway, regardless, got us talking, probably has you talking at home, so please weigh in online and let us know what you think. Is this a sexist issue, or is it just a preference for temperature?